We have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause and substantially moved down the tariff levels. Both sides on the reciprocal tariffs will move their tariffs down 115%. We had very robust discussions. Both sides showed great respect. It was a chance for me to meet the Chinese delegation. The vice premier I had previously had only a video call with. Ambassador Jameson was familiar with two of the other leaders on the delegation from his previous time. So there was very good personal interaction. Both countries represented their national interests very well. We concluded that we have shared interest, and we both have an interest in balanced trade. The U.S. will continue moving towards that.
A trade deal between the United States and China has been reached. We are going to be exploring the details in this daily crypto market update, where we don't just tackle the cryptocurrency space, but the overall picture and where the cryptocurrency space finds itself within that. So we are going to be looking at that. And of course, this is huge and a very bullish event. What we can see, just before we do dive into all of this, and don't worry guys, we're going to be coming back to Bitcoin, is that this is the US 100 sort of E-mini, if you will. So the US markets at the time of me recording aren't open, but look at the jump on this. This is up 4%. And what we've said is that, yes, we've broken trend structure for the S&P, but what we need to see is a kind of reclaiming of this pullback or a running into new all-time highs. And that is a exceptionally bullish catalyst that I think we're going to see on the back end of news like what we've just seen. So the futures market for stocks are up massively. Of course, this is massively bullish. If you look at what happened with stocks, this pullback is all really to do with uncertainty around Trump, and certainly with the tariff announcement. The bounce came on the 90-day kind of pause agreement, because it showed a willingness to negotiate and actually not literally implement those tariffs like the markets have priced in. And anything better than the picture the markets are pricing in would see them recover. And actually a resolution will see continuation for the markets. And we've always said, actually, we're far more optimistic on Trump than many people. I'm not a tariff guy. I don't believe in tariffs. I believe in free trade. But in a world where there's already tariffs, he's fighting fire with fire. And actually it could resolve in less fire generally, to stick on that analogy. And you could end up with lower tariffs across the board, which we may be seeing. So this is an insanely bullish catalyst. We've played just a couple of short clips there, but let's look at the actual announcement. We reported this on Twitter yesterday. Of course, we're reporting it today for immediate release on the 11th of May, 2025. US announces China trade deal in Geneva, Switzerland. Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, who is the man for the job, by the way. Go and look at Scott's career in finance. Trump has literally assembled the Avengers. We kind of are fanboying a little bit in regards to Trump. And I'm not for everything that he's doing, but I think I'm far more optimistic on the things that he's doing than many are. And people need to give him a chance. So I'm happy to report that we made substantial progress between the United States and China in the very important trade talks. First, I want to thank our Swiss hosts. The Swiss government has been very kind in providing us with a wonderful venue, and I think that led to a great deal of productivity we've seen. We will be giving details tomorrow, but I can tell you that the talks were productive. We had the vice premier, two vice ministers who were integrally involved, Ambassador Jameson and myself, and I spoke to President Trump as did Ambassador Jameson last night, and he is fully informed of what is going on. So there will be a complete briefing tomorrow morning. US is still yet to wake up. The markets are digesting just the announcement of this. And this is from the White House, ladies and gentlemen. US Trade Representative Ambassador Jason Greer. This was, as the Secretary pointed out, a very constructive 2 days. It's important to understand how quickly we were able to come to an agreement, which reflects that perhaps the differences were not so large as many thought. That being said, there was a lot of groundwork that went into these 2 days. Just remember why we're here in the first place. The United States has a massive 1.2 trillion trade deficit. So the president declares a national emergency and imposes tariffs. And we're confident the deal we struck with our Chinese partners will help us work towards resolving the national emergency. I mean, this is huge. This is unbelievably huge. And if you look at a new presidential term, comes around every 4 years, there's always uncertainty with it at the start, because usually a president will put forward, or a regime will put forward, the harshest policies first. And there's uncertainty around that. And as we see a resolving of that uncertainty, you're going to see markets recover, which we've said is the likely outcome. Just using logic. In this world, people have seemed to use... There's that great saying out there, common sense isn't common. It's not anymore because of the world we now live in. And people don't think about things logically. The implementation of tariffs, as Trump had laid out, certainly when he was talking about 240% on China, practically that's never, ever going to work. And there has to be a resolve and talk. These people aren't dumb. They know what they're doing. This is Bloomberg's breakdown on it all. US and China agreed to major reductions in tariffs for 90 days. The US and China will temporarily lower tariffs on each other's products, with the US reducing its levels on most imports from 145% to 30%, and China dropping its duties on US goods from 125% to 10%. US has all the cards. All the cards. Against China, not as much as they do Europe. Every person in Europe is using American technology today. Probably got an iPhone. Probably maybe even a MacBook like I've got. You're probably using Google. You know, you probably got Spotify, or you're snapping, Snapchat or whatever. You know, you're on you're on Twitter, the most used platform now. America has everybody by the... I mean, there's a reason they are where they are. And it's not just fiscally, it's also technologically. And they can... They're the biggest guy in the room. They can swing it around, you know. So the joint settlement aims to cool trade tensions and give the two countries 3 more months to resolve their differences, with a mechanism to continue discussion on economic and trade relations. The agreement is a step towards de-escalation the tariff war, but it's still unclear what the acceptable goal is for both sides, or how long it will take to get there, with China previously demanding the removal of all US tariffs imposed this year. We may see, and we've always put this forward as an argument using logic, no tariffs or next to none, a reduction in overall tariffs globally on the back end of this. And I think that's the logical conclusion. I think this is going to entirely retrace. If you look at the European markets, I mean, the DAX has been a brilliant thing for us from a technical point of view. Look at this. The all-time highs coming off a little bit, but I mean, this is the kind of recovery the stock market has ahead of it. And why is all this relevant? Well, the cryptocurrency market is in sync with risk generally. It performs better of it around uncertainty. You know, it's closer to recovering its pullback than the S&P, and it's going to proceed higher. And we've always put that argument forwards based on technically what we're seeing. Also, yesterday, this was a tweet from Trump, and I retweeted this saying, is this reality? This is from the White House. My next truth will be one of the most important and impactful I have ever issued. Enjoy. And this was the follow-up. And it talks about sort of prescription drugs. It talks about the overall sort of benefits. We're not going to get too much into it that he's trying to bring to the American people. I am far more for Trump than I think many people are in terms of what he's trying to do. Nirvana's not for this world. Nobody's perfect. But if you look at the opposition and you look at what he's putting in place, and maybe we're unpopular for this, I think, you know, the UK could definitely do with a dose of that. Not the kind of doses that Macron and Keir were taking on that train, you know. Of course, that's a joke. That's the big joke right now. Who knows what was going on there? I thought it looked like a tissue. Let's move away from that very quickly. Also today, we'll be streaming it on the channel. The SEC, Crypto Task Force, of course, headed by Mr. Paul Atkins himself, the new SEC chair, is going to be having a panel on tokenization that he'll be discussing. It'll be live with BlackRock, Fidelity, NASDAQ, and more. We'll be reporting this. We'll be streaming it all. I mean, how can you be anything but bullish on the cryptocurrency space right now? Fundamentally and, of course, technically, which is where we get our opinion on what way the markets are going. This is from Conor McGregor, who's trying to become the president of Ireland. Crypto, in its origin, was founded to give power back to the people. An Irish Bitcoin strategic reserve will give power to the people's money. I will be co-hosting a Twitter space to talk about what I want to see changed. Victory for Ireland. We're still yet to see this Bitcoin arms race with nation states, with more companies like MicroStrategy, which are making Bitcoin deflationary. If you look at the Bitcoin supply minus MicroStrategy and their hoard. And we're only going to see escalation and continuation in all of these trends. I mean, there's never been a better time to be in the crypto space. We keep saying it, but it truly is a reality. So there's been huge amounts of good news. It's going to be interesting to see how the stock market opens up today. CPI tomorrow. And we'll keep you informed on all of that. You know, everything we're looking at is just coming to fruition. We don't miss. You know, we don't get everything right, but we're more right than we're wrong. We make money. That's all I care about. And if you want to take that journey a step forward, do consider becoming a patron. Go check up on last night's meeting. I put forward an argument to the Russia-Ukraine war ending based on the Russian currency and how it's looking and Russian equities. Interesting thing, can technical analysis predict the future? Well, we thought Trump was going to win based on it. Maybe that's more obvious, though. So the falling wedge that we have for Bitcoin is entirely retracing. It will retrace, in my opinion, and lead to continuation. We didn't just look at a falling wedge for Bitcoin. There was a number of altcoins out there. They're all playing out. Everybody's shouting about Dogecoin and surprised it's moving. We're, of course, not. We knew this was coming. Falling wedge, like what we were looking at in November. It's all coming to fruition. You've just got to be in it to win it, not get shaken out, not listen to ding-dongs. And there's many of them when it comes to crypto, unfortunately, and just be along for the journey and invested in the right things. And I'm investing in the same things that were funded and founded by the likes of the people that basically got every internet company right. They're here in the cryptocurrency space. You just got to do a little bit of digging. That is it from me, ladies and gentlemen. What a joyous day. Long may it continue. Technically, we're expecting some upside. You're getting all the narratives now. And technical analysis, again, proving to be early or bringing us early to the party, not late. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave each and every one of you. Have a wonderful week. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.